let's talk about something that a lot of women are craving right now: provider men. And not just financially providing, because that's obvious, but also providing a place of safety, providing security, both physical and emotional and spiritual and energetically. This is something that women are desperately craving right now, particularly in Western culture, which is where I'm from. And today we're going to be talking about how to attract these kind of men by embodying your feminine energy in a more grounded way, because a lot of you are very stuck in your heads about this. So we're going to be going through what feminine energy actually is as a refresher, because there's a lot of confusion. We're going to be going through an experiment that I did that actually attracted my husband within 4 months. And stick around until the end, because I'm also going to be sharing a ritual that I did that also I think has a lot to do with how I manifested my husband. And I'm going to be answering a question that has been coming up a lot in the comment section of this YouTube channel, which is, how long should I wait before this guy sees that I'm worthy of him proposing to, or something along those lines? I've been getting different variations of the same question. So if you're wondering about that, I'm going to answer it in this video. Let's get to it. Welcome to Mindful Success Path. I'm Amanda, and on this channel, we talk about how to manifest what you want in your life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. So if that is something that you are interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. And if you are interested in enhancing your feminine energy, not just to have a provider man, but also manifest whatever you want in life. For example, we just manifested, or I just, my husband and I together, but I brought the feminine energy, manifested moving out to the largest lake in Mexico. We had a desire to get out of the city, and it showed up like this. And now we get to live with a beautiful lake view from our porch and enjoy fresh berries from the farms and enjoy a little bit more of a simple rural life, which is something we'd been craving. I brought the feminine energy, he brought the masculine energy, and boom, it manifested. So if you're interested in a life like that, make sure to download our Enhance Your Feminine Energy guide below. It's totally free. The link is below. So let's get into this, right? First, let's do a little recap on understanding feminine energy, right? Because in order to be able to embody it and embody it in a way that's actually grounded, you first have to understand what it is. And unfortunately, there's a whole lot of freaking confusion out on the internet about what feminine energy actually is, because as most humans like to do, they like to go to one extreme or the other. So when in one extreme we have like feminism, which is on God knows what wave it's on right now, but I think where most of us are coming to the conclusion that while first wave was great and it needed to happen, whatever's happening now is not really serving us, or families or partnerships or anything. So that's one extreme. And then on the other extreme, we have this whole like trad wife trend, which is not feminine energy at all. It's actually quite masculine, because you're spending your whole life giving to other people and not nourishing yourself, which is, guess what? That's what the masculine does, not the feminine. So there's a lot of confusion in terms of what this actually means. Or another version that comes up in terms of feminine energy that again is very confusing is that it comes up as passive or weak. A lot of people confuse being submissive with being passive and weak, and the two have nothing to do with one another. So what is actually feminine energy? Because I know this confused the crap out of me many, many years ago when I started studying this. So number one, feminine energy is about receiving, not chasing, right? So for example, we'll see this a lot in nature, right? The sperm goes to the egg, not the other way around. The bees go to the honey, not the other way around. Or the bees go to the nectar in the flower, I should say, not the other way around. Feminine energy is also about emotional depth. It's about intuition. It's about softness, and it's about surrender. Now, there's nothing weak about any of that, right? It's not about not having an opinion. It's more about how you express that opinion. And it's also the energy of attraction, not force. So one thing that's very interesting, and I've seen this dynamic, my husband and I run a relocation business. We help successful entrepreneurs and investors invest and move to other countries. It's one of the reasons why we live in Mexico right now. And that's one of the reasons why we travel quite a bit. But one of the things that I find really interesting is he's very structured, right? He's very structured. He's very giving. He does most of the action. He's like the hammer, right? And then with me, I'll just like be out and about in my day, and you can ask him, and then I will meet like the perfect person who helps us accomplish this goal that we were thinking about without even trying, right? I'm just like living my life in a lot of ways. Or I attract a lot of attention. I'm very good at attracting attention online, right? And most women are very good at attracting attention online because we're magnetic, we are attractive. That's why you see so many women starting online businesses and making a bunch of money off of social media. It's because we have that attraction energy and we don't even really have to try. That's the thing. Or another way that this sometimes comes up is like, the masculine is more like the hammer and the doer, and the feminine is more like the magic behind all of it. You'll hear that a lot in very like successful power couples. They'll say that a lot. Like the guy will be like, yeah, I'm the one doing stuff, and then she's the one who gets all the crazy downloads and ideas, and it's like magic. I don't even understand like how it happens. So that's another way in which it shows up. So provider men, which is what we're talking about today, they are magnetized to women who are more in their feminine energy. A lot of you are not attracting provider men because you act way too masculine, and and then when you do get into feminine stuff, it's more performative rather than actually grounding and embodying it. It's more of an inner game and more of an inner job. And a lot of you, instead, what you do is like you'll put on a mask, so to speak, and take on feminine traits and act in a feminine way, but it's not about acting, it's about being, right? So that's very, very important to understand. And the reason why provider men are magnetized to women who are more in their feminine energy is because it allows them the opportunity to step up and give to you. Men love to give. They love it, especially masculine men. And my husband said this to me yesterday. He was doing a lot of housework around this new house that we're in, and he was helping me set this all up back here. He's like a tech magician. That's what I call him, right? Electricity, Wi-Fi, all that stuff, like like lightning protection. It's all him. Solar panels, like that's all him, right? I have no idea how to do any of that stuff. It's all him. And yesterday, he said to me, "Everything I do is for you, so you can have a beautiful home. So, you can enjoy life." That he literally told me that yesterday because he is a provider man. Provider men love to give. That's what you have to understand. And there's a lot of content out here from femininity creators that basically tell you like men are trash and that they don't love to give. Yeah, unhealthy men don't like to give and are trash. Healthy men love to give. And if you're not attracting them, it's because there's an issue going on there. Okay, so how does this masculinity show up in women? Well, number one, if you're in survival mode, you're going to have a hard time attracting a healthy masculine man. That's why, and this was a part of my journey, and I think it's a part of a journey of a lot of women actually who end up coming to this work eventually. At some point, we got to learn how to provide for ourselves and make our own money, because a lot of times what happens is when women don't know how to make money or don't have the skills with which to make money, then what happens is they're in desperate survival mode situations, and then they end up in really crappy relationships, right? So it's about learning how to take care of yourself and not being in survival mode. Another way in which this might show up is nervous system regulation. So one of the things that I had to learn the hard way when I lost everything in my last business, and I basically had a giant dark night of the soul spiritual awakening, and I couldn't go back to life in the way that it was, because I realized that my whole life had been built on fear and not desire, and fear and not love, and I wasn't being authentic to myself. It was unconscious, obviously, and for most people it's unconscious, but I had like a huge dark night of the soul a few years ago where it was obvious I couldn't go back to the life that I was living before. I couldn't. And that's very common for people who end up having some sort of a spiritual awakening of some kind, or hit some sort of a rock bottom, or do shadow work, for example. But one of the things that I realized was that I was in survival mode, not because I didn't have money. I actually did have money, and then I ended up losing all of it, but I did have money. It was more because I didn't know how to regulate my nervous system, which was part of the reason why I lost all the money, right? But that's a conversation for another time. The other thing is I got to a point where I was always doing, I was always pushing, I was always planning, I was always striving, and I really got to a stage in my life where it was time to soften and rest and let somebody else lead me. So that's really important, right? And it wasn't for a man or to attract a man, which I know sounds very ironic given the title of this video. It was for me. I had to rest and get out of survival mode. I had to seek ways to make money that wouldn't fry my nervous system. I had to learn how to regulate my nervous system and regulate my emotions and get myself out of that survival masculine mode that I was in. And then guess what happened? I attracted my husband in 4 months, but I didn't do it to attract a provider man. I did it for me and my life. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the ways in which it becomes more grounded. Because if you get into this work with the goal, right, to attract a provider man, you are right back in your masculine energy, girl. You need to do it for you and to nourish you. And so that you have a better life, and then the provider men will come. That's the secret. Okay, where was I? Okay, so now that we've established what that feminine energy is, what it looks like, how to do it in a more grounded way, let's get into what I call the divine masculine energy experiment, right? Because one practice that I did myself, and I've said a lot on this video, and I'm working on coaching programs for you guys on this, is I've talked about the divine masculine experiment. So here's how it works, right? You have to learn to receive from men. And the problem is that most women don't know how to receive from men. They feel very uncomfortable doing it. I did another video on why it's so uncomfortable for women to receive, which I will leave down below so you kind of have some context, because there's historical stuff behind that goes into why women have a difficult time receiving, even though it's our natural state to receive. So I will leave that video below. So because it's so difficult for us to receive, because of histories that we've had, or how we grew up, or what we were told about men, or, you know, the whole men ain't shit movement, as I call it, then what we have to do is we have to train ourselves to, and our nervous systems, right, to get comfortable receiving from men. Because until it feels safe to you to receive from men, you're not going to be able to attract a provider man who even wants to give to you. So again, this is not to attract him per se, it's for you, so you get good at receiving and your life gets easier as a result. So for 7 days to start, although when I did it, it was like a forever thing, but for 7 days, for those of you who are like really like cringing when I'm saying this right now, you practice letting men or masculine energy give to you, okay? That means letting someone open the door for you, because you'd be surprised how many women don't even feel comfortable with a man doing that. Asking for help at the store instead of figuring it out yourself. It could mean allowing someone to treat you without feeling guilt or control. And again, it's not about manipulation, it's about reconditioning your nervous system to feel safe receiving from men, right? You're literally building new pathways in your brain that say it's safe to be provided for. I don't have to do it all alone, because many women have been taught that men are unreliable and they have to do it all alone. And this is one of the ways in which we can begin to make space for these provider men to actually show up. Now, I'm currently working on a course and a program that goes into all this stuff. So if you want to be notified when that actually becomes live, now that I'm on the other side of this move, I can start focusing again, then make sure to sign up for the Enhance Your Feminine Energy Guide below, because then you're going to be added to our email list and you'll know when all that stuff is live. Okay, now let's get to the part where we get a little witchy with it, right? Because when we're talking about, you know, feminine energy and divine masculine energy, we're already getting a little witchy with it, right? But let's get a little more witchy with it, right? So one of the things that I love to do in my personal spiritual practice is I love to do candle magic, as you can see, right? I love candle magic. I think candles are a very easy way to be able to set intentions and then, you know, send your intentions out into the universe, if you want to put it that way. So if you want to put some intentionality into the mix, and this is something that you're going to want to do. Now, I have a little bit of an example of candle magic right here. This is not about love. I actually have another altar for that over there that I'm working on. It's not done yet. But for example, because my husband and I film a lot from this corner for the businesses, then this is like a little makeshift money altar that I have. So I'm just going to use this as an example, right? because I don't have the love one set up because we just moved. But I have my green candle, right? What is that for? Money, right? Abundance, all that stuff. I infused it with my intentions. I also put a couple herbs in it that were related to abundance. I've got a statue of Fortuna here. I love Fortuna. She's one of my favorite prosperity goddesses. She's Roman, one of my favorite. And actually, you can find her in a lot of places in Mexico. I've noticed in a lot of businesses and things, it's like Our Lady of Guadalupe and Fortuna, right? Which I thought was very interesting because I didn't see her as much in the United States. I've got some rosemary incense going because rosemary is an herb associated with prosperity, and I've got prosperity crystals here. So this is like a prosperity one that I've got going in the section where we film a lot of things for work because we want it to be successful, right? Now, you could do the exact same thing for love and money, right? You just got to switch things up a little bit, right? So instead of a green candle, maybe it's a pink candle. Instead of Fortuna, maybe you've got Aphrodite or whoever, whatever deity or what do you want to work with. It's up to you, right? But in terms of the colors, it's basically, you know, red and pink for love, right? You can also do white. So if you don't have red or pink or any of that stuff, you can just do a white candle for basically anything. White is a good stand-in for anything that you want. And same thing with crystals, right? So you're going to want to find crystals that are associated with love. So, you know, rose quartz, stuff like that. And again, if you don't have rose quartz, you can use a clear quartz, very good stand-in. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to write down how you want to feel around this man. Not a checklist, right? Like, I want him to be 6'2" and have blue eyes and make six figures, because a lot of you do that. I want you to get clear on how you want to feel, right? I want to feel safe. I want to feel adored. I want to feel chosen. And then what I want you to do is I want you to light your candle. You could also like carve these things into the candle if you want to. I'm a fan of that. Read the intention out loud, and most importantly, I want you to feel it, and I want you to start visualizing. So one of the things that I did many years ago when I was in just starting out on this journey and this process of more feminine energy is I actually had 3 candles, right? And they were different shades. I think I had a pink one, a red one, or like 2 different shades of pink. I don't really remember. I'd get like rose essential oil and anoint the candles. And I got very specific and very clear on how I wanted to feel in a relationship. And every time I lit those candles, I would visualize it. I mean, I visualized it every day, but especially when I lit those candles or saw those candles, it was a reminder, because the key is to feel it, right? And really anchor those feelings into your body. And when I did this, I manifested my husband in 4 months, right? You can do this for around the full moon, new moon. It's up to you, right? Or honestly, whenever you feel called. If it's something that you really desire, I say do it every day. I got prosperity candles going every day. I got a love candle going basically every day. So I don't think there's a set time necessarily for you to do it. I think if it matters to you, then you want to put as much energy into it as possible. So it's an everyday thing, but use your own intuition in terms of what feels good to you. And I'm going to end this video with a question that I got from the audience, which I think is very important because a lot of women get hung up in this kind of a situation. The question was along the lines of, how long should I give a man before he sees that he should marry me? Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing right now because I don't have it in front of me, and I've gotten this question in lots of different ways, right? So I'm going to address this right now, and this is going to be some big sister love, okay? Big sister love. And also because I don't have any more context other than that. So I don't have more context about the dynamic of the relationships. Like, this is all I've gotten. So I've had this conversation with a lot of men over the years. I've asked my husband this question as well. And the general consensus from the men that I've met who are married and who are provider men specifically, they all basically said the same thing, which was like, it really didn't take me that long to figure it out at all. I probably knew within 3 to 6 months, right? So that's number one, right? Provider men, like, they know what they want when they see a feminine energy woman. So if you've got a guy who keeps like kicking the can down the road or telling you some nonsense like, I don't want the government involved, or whatever BS they tell women to not marry them, there's an issue there, right? Because most provider men, they know quickly. When I asked my husband when he knew, he said definitely by the 6-month mark, but I had an inkling even before we started dating. And most men that I've asked who are provider men and married, they basically say the same thing. Like they knew really fast when they had met their wife. Now, the other thing that I want to address in this particular reader question that came in, and again, I've had different variations of the same question, right? Come in either through email or in the comment section, is the way that the question is phrased a lot of time. It's almost coming from this energy of having to prove yourself to a man because you want to marry that particular man. If you're coming, again, this is going back to that masculine energy thing I was talking about earlier, where if you're doing this stuff to try and get a result with a particular man, or just period, like you're already in your masculine energy. You're doing this for you. When I started getting into this and I finally started understanding it, it was one of those things where I was like, it could be this man, it could be that man, it could be that man. I'm open, right? I am totally open until I met my husband, and then my husband knew very quickly that he wanted to marry. Maybe I'll have to get him on a video someday to explain that, because my husband also is friends with a lot of men, and they all basically say the same thing, right? So if you've got a guy who's just been kicking the can down the road, something's off, because provider masculine men, they know quickly. And if you're coming at it from the perspective of, let me prove myself to this man, and again, I don't have context on the dynamic of these relationships, it's just been variations of this question, and that's all I know. If you're coming at it from the, let me prove myself to this man, like, the dynamic is already off, right? Because you're already chasing a man, if that makes sense. And what does that do? That repels healthy men. So in closing, right, if you want to attract a masculine provider man, it's in here, right? It's an inside journey. It's not an outside journey. We're not trying to get a goal, right? We're not trying to get to a result, right? It's not about changing men and changing their behavior. It's about becoming the version of you that deeply believes she is worthy of being held and cherished and supported and provided for. That's the thing, right? It's not about, let me prove myself so in 3 months he sees that he should marry me, right? Or it's not about, let me prove myself to get that particular guy that I want. It's about knowing deep, because if you're in that energy, you already don't think that you should be cherished and provided for. Because if you thought that you should be cherished and provided for, you would accept it from healthy men all around you, right? In different ways. You wouldn't be so pinpointed on this one man, for those of you who are not married yet. And I've been asking that question. Now, it's a lot of inner work, right? And this isn't like a one and done kind of a thing. This isn't like oh, I reached this level. I know there's a lot of people out here who try and do this like in levels, and I understand why, because they're trying to add a structure so people understand where they are at in this feminine energy journey. But I've been at this for a few years, and I still have to go back. I still screw up. I still make mistakes, and then I have to go back, right? And revisit and readjust and realign. So it's not a one and done kind of a thing. It's also not this is all going to be done in a week kind of a thing. This is a constant daily practice for those of you who are interested in this. And if you need help with this type of inner work and you want to go deep into these kinds of tools, like I said, I've got a program that I'm working on. Make sure to get that Enhance Your Feminine Energy Guide for free, which will give you a good little place to get started right now. A little nugget, little tidbit for those of you who need something now. You'll be added to the email list, and then you'll know when this program is ready to go live, and I'm ready to teach it. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, share it with a sister, because there's a lot of women out here who are very confused, and I know based on all the questions I'm getting in the comment section and in my email, and I will catch you guys on the next one.